Hi, it's Kane and Jeff here. Welcome back to the Infinite Mindset Podcast. Industry rock star and Jeff and myself today joining you into an interesting conversation. We're going to be diving deep into the topic of what's going on with AI around job loss. What are we really seeing? What's going on? The different dimensions of how to analyze it, understand it, and how's it going to affect entrepreneurs and consultants and smaller businesses? Because it's actually doing something interesting. As larger companies are shedding employees, it's actually creating an interesting, whole layer at the bottom. So, anyways, welcome to my Infinite Mindset Podcast. Partner here, Jeff. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm just looking at some stats right now. I mean, look at this. Total job cuts in 2025, 1.2 million job cuts in 2025. It's the highest since 2020, and is explicitly cited. AI was cited as the culprit in that. That's roughly 55,000 of those are actually AI related of the total layoffs. And here's another one. Look at this. In the U.S., 55,000 job losses in 2025 were tied to AI corporate disclosures as well. So there's a lot going on with AI. And look, let's just get into 2026. 25,000 workers were already impacted by AI-related layoffs already.
Yeah,
and it probably doesn't include the latest one from Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, I mean, there's just endless stats. Who knows what's correct anymore? But we get the narrative, which is job loss is rising right now. Yeah. Now, there's a couple of interesting things to consider about this. So first of all, one of the first thing we've been doing a lot of deep diving into this to understand what it means and how it will change things and things like that. First of all, naturally here in Industry Rockstar, we have a very utopian future around technology, although we understand that getting there will probably go through go through change, and change can be complex for people, so we want to respect and understand that. And then also we want to loop it back into how it will actually affect our audience, which is typically entrepreneurs, small business owners, consultants, and so forth. So first of all, what we're seeing is the larger companies are actually seeing more of this. And so one of the things to note is that some of the bigger players, right? So Amazon, Pinterest, right? They've cut massive jobs in 2026, right? And we're seeing all sorts of companies, tens of thousands of layoffs and things like that. And Block and what was it? Cash App? Was that another one that just
8,000
huge
or
layoffs?
Something like that.
Yeah, cut thousands of jobs.
You know what? I want to acknowledge, I'm also looking at here, only 4.5% of the 2025 layoffs were actually directly attributed to AI. So there's a lot of headlines here that are overstating this as well. It's a lot of drama. It's clickbait.
Yeah.
Because small companies, as you know, are actually, they might be just hiring smarter, not more.
So there's a lot of data that's actually showing that it's a smaller direct displacement from AI. That's the first thing to consider. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be heading that direction. It doesn't mean that they're not firing people because they expect to be heading that direction, but that's very dangerous for companies, just FYI in the first place. Firing people with the expectation that AI can do everything is short-sighted and actually not really what is being mostly reported by executives and CEOs in areas where they're saying, no, we're actually cutting it because we're under more economic conditions, cost pressures. We're doing strategic reorganizations of the company as to how we want to. And so this is essentially called AI gaslighting. And in fact, even Sam Altman came out saying, look, there's a much smaller amount of job losses due directly to AI than is actually being reported. It's a convenient narrative right now, right? So it's easy to kind of soften the blowback from layoffs to say, well, it's not really us. It's like the AI technologies are essentially just kind of helping us, see things differently, or we don't need the same types of people or the same. But in fact, actually, it's not really about the AI. They call this AI washing. And I think we're going to see a lot of this for a while. We're going to see a lot of companies that are just kind of cutting the baseline down in terms of their workers, either with the concept that it's going to be changing or that they've probably wanted to do these layoffs for a while due to economic pressures, and they now have a really good and convenient narrative. I think it's unfortunate because, with Jeff and I and our team and Alessia and everybody, we're actually in the trenches with these companies all day long, working with them on actually implementing AI. And the reality is that there's a massive need for the humans to be on and above these systems. So let's look at what's real and what's not real based upon the stats. Okay, so what's real? So AI tools are definitely increasingly being used for specific tasks, for automation, coding, documentation, basic customer service. I had a call today we were looking for a handyman to help us set up a new trampoline, we got for the kids, and it was all done with AI. And it was very accurate. And I went all the way through, the AI picked up the phone and had a whole conversation with me and took my credit card and got a workman arranged and everything. And I was like, look, it worked. It was easy. It was clear where there was problems. It helped me solve them. Like, no problem. We don't need somebody on the phone doing that. That's definitely happening, right? So that kind of basic customer service stuff is happening. Some companies are reorganizing around AI capabilities. They're realizing, okay, work's going to be different. They're redesigning their work, and their hiring patterns are shifting. We're seeing less entry-level routine roles, more AI-centric skills being demanded for any of the new people that are coming in. I think one of the biggest impacts, if we look at that, is actually going to be a couple of things. Those that are doing less skilled labor, admin, customer service, answering phones, database entry, things like that, those jobs are likely to be impacted and affected first. We're already seeing that. And those that are coming in with little or no experience, right? This is the younger generation, people that are coming out of colleges, getting right into jobs. We had my family this weekend because my sister had a birthday, so we had their whole family over, and her son brought over. He's 25, 26. He's dating a new woman, and we got the chance to meet her. She's a nurse. She just came out of nursing school into nursing, and we were joking about the fact that her job is probably going to be secure for a little while until they release nursing robots, I guess. And so the thing is that a lot of the early stage entry level jobs, they're not actually going to be going to the young kids anymore.
Yeah. So how do you think this is going to affect the entrepreneurs? Because that's the lane I like to look at. I've got some here that I think they're going to be competing against something different. The entrepreneurs that use AI and don't are going to be completely different. Well, how do you think it's affecting it's going to affect the entrepreneurs?
So I think if we start to look at how it's affecting the small business owners, I think that, first of all, I mean, our audience is not so much looking for jobs. Our audience is actually looking to build their own things. The good news is that
a lot of consultants as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and small businesses and solopreneurs are actually thriving with everything. And actually, small businesses are actually absorbing in more people and actually building. Now, they're building more strategically, and they're building out. But we're seeing more small businesses actually bringing in new people. So I think what we're going to actually start to see is larger volume of formations of smaller businesses, 3, 4, 5, 6 types of people in a business running something that could be generating multiple millions a month. And we're already starting to see that.
I want to lay this out because here's such a good statement. You're no longer competing against other small teams and local operators and slow incumbents. You're competing against 5-person AI native teams and solo founders with AI stacks and agents and highly automated systems. Basically, they're looking, the entrepreneurs, the people that are looking for are to do 5 times the output.
Yeah, so they want to make sure that everybody that's working around them, there's a much higher output, a much higher revenue per employee is being expected. Speed of execution is much higher. So everybody working together has to essentially become, AI native in what they're doing.
The bar's actually getting raised.
Yes. And entrepreneurs and small businesses, they don't have a lot of bloated admin, management layers, all that kind of stuff. So they're actually nimble, working better. So what does that mean? It means there's never been a better time in history than to be starting a business right now. And there's never been a better opportunity to scale your abilities, your impact, than right now as an entrepreneur, leveraging AI and a couple of teams and people around you. This is pretty awesome. It's a massive opportunity.
Okay, given the opportunity right now, if you're an entrepreneur listening to this, where would you put your attention as an entrepreneur in the area of AI? If it's just like you're an entrepreneur trying to build your business, where would you put your attention?
Yeah, well, I am an entrepreneur. We are building businesses. So.
But I'm talking the entrepreneur that's listening to us right now.
Yeah.
Where should he or she put our attention?
Decades in his entrepreneur. So where I'm putting our attention was actually where I started talking about during COVID in 2020, but nobody really got it or saw it at that time, which is fine. But we were talking then about actually combining tech products and services together in your businesses. And what we're seeing is that the entrepreneurs that are actually taking AI technologies and combining in tech products and services in, or even just 2 out of the 3, even if it's just products and tech, or it's services and tech, or tech and products, or whatever it is, that's actually some of the most powerful stuff. And notice tech kind of in all of them. So combining technology with services or products, or all 3, and then having a small core team of really awesome people. Now, I love this because having had businesses with up to 200 plus staff, I love having a really tight core team that really all kind of know each other. This is what I've thrived in. I love this model, which is having a tight core team of people that know each other, work closely together, love each other. Like there's a lot of great ideas and things happening in there, and they're leveraging technology to be able to be much more productive, much more active. Sharing things is a lot less siloing going on. There's a lot less complexity.
Because there's less people, it's a lot more lean, and they make decisions faster, but they're all armed with aggressive tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And when they use AI agents or AI workflows, they're just essentially accelerating their creative design, their creative ideas, and getting it done, executing, and then bringing it back. And they can work more nimbly and more quickly. There's less people to have to manage and deal with. A lot of the getting things done is all managed by the technologies, and the more strategy, creative, the vision, the communications is handled by the humans, right? So that's a big exciting step. And what we're seeing is that putting yourself in that situation is creating a lot of fast productivity. My experience of being in the markets where we look is that large companies are losing their competitive advantage. Okay, now this has been going on for years, but now people are starting to get it. Their competitive advantage was budgets, skills, talent, so they could move faster if they had 100 people. Like, we have a development team, and a 25-person development team is developing now like a 200 or 300 or 400-person development team at that speed.
Let me give some backup to this stat. This is great. So here's some data. Zapier, Midjourney, OpenAI, all these companies statistically operate with small teams. Okay, Midjourney is reportedly running with fewer than 20 core employees. Okay, Zapier's kind of similar, okay? And basically, what the conclusion is, revenue per employee explodes while the headcount grows slower. So this seems to be the new model that's being born here.
Yeah. Well, I think, and OpenAI is still pretty big. There are several thousand staff there. But typical billion-dollar companies like them would be typically somewhere, larger, 5 to 10,000 in staff.
Yeah. So percentage-wise, they're 20% the size.
Yeah. Now, Zapier and all these teams and all these companies that are tech-based, they have been growing rapidly. Now that's been seen in VC world. We've been seeing that, revenue per head model massively growing. But here's another twist and look at that, is that for our consultants in their audience, there's a massive opportunity here because small companies are now facing a bit of a paradox. They want fewer hires, they want more output, they want AI-driven leverage, but they also are not really sure about how to automate, restructure their roles, or how to avoid AI theatrics and just a lot of the hype. So the market's getting kind of split into two major AI consultant roles. There is the strategists who are helping the small businesses strategize, and the small businesses are investing a tremendous amount, bringing in an AI partner or a fractional CAIO that can be helping them with the strategy side of things around operations, their business, creativity, things like that. And then there's the people and the leadership side of it. So consulting is kind of getting divided into two here, strategy and leadership, and that's becoming a major group for those operating architects to be able to help them do that. So there's becoming a real economic shift, and the value proposition for AI consultants is evolving from, let me help you use AI to let me help you redesign your business around AI leverage. And so
the founders are now saying, well, how do I get 30% more output without 30% more the payroll? And they'll hire a consultant for that. That seems to be where it's heading.
Yeah. So what that would be is, I would say, if you're a consultant, stop selling AI tools and start selling AI implementations. Start becoming their partners. Help them understand how they're going to leverage this for multiplying. They're going to increase their revenue per employee. They're going to start to redesign things in their organizations, and they're going to start to leverage their 3, 4, 5, or 10, or 15, or 20 people using AI. And that's the messaging that's now becoming very powerful as they're seeing all these major companies shed. Now, the other thing that's happening is all these major companies are shedding. You now have an incredible pouring into the market of entrepreneurs. So now we've got more than ever, we got these small, pods of people that are building things and working together with the consultants. So we're seeing the biggest explosions of growth in the next 1 to 3 years between new businesses and partnerships with consultants. It's going to be a massive growth.
Do you think that the consulting industry is actually going to get even larger? I mean, it's a big industry, but it seems like this is just driving in a huge increase in consulting.
Massive. I mean, you can certainly use AI to get and learn a lot, but you're not going to replace consultants working with people that have experience building a holistic system. Like AI is really good at kind of targeting through challenges and issues. And it's really, really good at getting things wrong as well in more complex environments and systems. So we still need a lot of that human systemic thinking to be able to understand how to put all these things together. And that's one of the things that a lot of people pouring out of corporate are going to actually need to be learning. So one of the things for those, if you're listening, you might have recently lost your job or you're concerned about that, is to start to think about where is the value of where to put your attention in the future. It's going to be in systemic thinking, understanding how to actually think around all the different interconnected parts, because it's very difficult for AI to actually do
just to
that well.
highlight that, it seems like consulting is moving from people just have, you remember consultants, they always want to, it's about what they used to be, what they know, it was their value. Now it's actually about helping the clients see more clearly and making better choices. That seems to be where it's heading.
Yeah, it's helping them strategize differently, helping them understand how to actually build an entire new operating system, redesign their work, and how to leverage technologies versus, just teaching them how to use the technologies.
So what would you say to the people that are the consultants right now, and how do they stay on the cutting edge? Because this seems like this whole, like there's going to be a bigger pool of consultants and there's going to be more competition. But what would you say to them?
Well, yeah, but there's just such a demand, such a need. It's not. It doesn't matter. I mean,
so you're saying the opportunity is bigger too. Plus, there's more of them.
Totally. I mean, the consulting field will explode. It's expected to go, up to 90 billion in the next 10 years from essentially where it's at, like 27 billion. It's going to keep growing. And part of the reason it keep growing is you're going to see a mass exodus out of large companies as they keep blaming AI for not needing as much staff. What are those people going to do? Well, they're not going to get rapidly snapped up and hired by other companies, because companies they're not growing through hiring staff. They're growing through building systems. So those people are going to turn towards one of two environments. Either they're going to build their own companies, which can add value, and there's a lot of great stuff that can add value. Right now, AI is proving most effective in essentially operational roles, admin roles, customer service, things like that. It's not necessarily delivering massive value to the marketplace. A human still needs to mastermind that, come up with that, create the conversations, and deliver great stuff to the marketplace. So they're going to pour out of corporate. They're going to starting their own businesses and delivering great value with a team of 2 or 3 or 4, plus a bunch of AI technologies. So they'll have to get upskilled on that. And then the consultants are getting hired in by those entrepreneurs to help them build an operating system fast. So you're never going to have as many consultants as you will have entrepreneurs. It's just always been. I mean, there's not as many consultants as there are entrepreneurs. There's 330 million businesses, and of that, hundreds of millions of executives and entrepreneurs and founders and people that are strategizing at the business level. And then you've got your consultants, right? And in that case, you've got something like tens of thousands or, a couple million consultants. I mean, when it comes to certified consultants, a whole different thing. But even if you have a couple of million, you're looking at a much smaller pool. So consultants will continue to be swamped with opportunity and work, helping all these people that are exiting out actually get started and start growing and building operating systems for themselves.
Here's a stat on that. Recruiting trend data says, demand for senior strategic roles, AI strategy, transformation, leadership is increasing by 20 to 30% in firms that are actually adopting AI, which is pretty much every firm. And only 22% of the companies out there actually feel prepared to implement AI internally. So that means there's a demand and there's a need for this.
Yeah. So pick which side of the line you're on. Either you're building your own business or you're going to be consulting, helping others build their business. Both are great. Just pick. Both are going to have a powerful growth. We're going to see exponential growth in those areas over the next 1 to 5 years. And then pick which one you're going to do. And then if you're in entrepreneurship, design your concept. Let's get it, a couple core members around you and bring it out to the marketplace. You now can design a good operating system with a couple of core members and start raising capital immediately fast for businesses because they can see as long as you've got adoption, a good idea, you can build at lightning speed. That's a powerful direction. And then if you're on the consulting side, choose whether you're going to be in strategy or whether you're going to be in leadership.
Well, here's something fascinating that I'm seeing the consultants that we're working with, actually, they're able to compete with the larger big firms that they couldn't compete before. And here's so big data processing no longer requires big teams. Small teams with AI tools, like small consulting teams, can produce basically enterprise grade type analysis. So it's basically changing. It's empowering the small consultants to actually earn quite a bit more money.
Yeah. So that's where we're headed for the next 5 to 10 years. We don't know where we're going after that. It's not even worth predicting because anything can happen, but that's the next move. And that's what we're seeing in terms of all of this job loss. I actually see it as it's going to turn it into an incredible productivity time for humanity as people are potentially forced out of, low repetitive, let's say low creative, more high repetitive admin, customer service kind of things. They're going to get forced into having to reskill so that they can actually start to express more executive functions around technologies and tools. I know it'll be a change. I know it'll be challenging for many people. And I think ultimately challenge has always brought people to a great place, and it's going to light people up and wake them up. And I think they'll end up in a really great place, being able to do work that's more fulfilling, having a stronger purpose around what they're creating, allowing technology to assist them. And then they can actually do more of the executive level work than they were probably able to do prior.
Well, I don't see AI as a replacement. I actually see it as an engine for the consulting industry. I actually think it's going to completely explode the consulting industry, especially the ones that have the tools.
Companies that have essentially eliminated their staff to replace them with AI is all basically realize that's a dumb move.
Doesn't work. They need humans.
They need to be investing internally to be upskilling, building AI systems. But I think that there's a shedding off going on. We can see that from the communications. When you actually look at the stats about how much AI is actually replacing workers, it's not nearly at the speed that they're getting rid of them. I think that there's between inflation and extra layers of admin and management, we're just seeing a natural pruning right now of companies that have just said, okay, now is the right time to just jump on the bandwagon and tell everybody it's AI's fault. It's a softer landing than saying, we're getting rid of you because you're lazy, or you don't have value, or you're inefficient, right? And now they say, well, call it AI because we can probably get this done with AI.
Well, that's the narrative right now, and it fits it, so they're going to use it. Right. Speaking of that, there's all these data centers that are going up and around this. What is your opinion on these data centers going up?
Well, data centers are doing a couple of things. I mean, data centers are going up everywhere because AI is mostly fed with data. It's the fuel. It's like putting gas stations everywhere, right? And so I think that they are, we're seeing all sorts of stats on both sides. We're seeing stats of it being interesting on the environment. We're seeing stats of it bringing jobs. We're seeing stats of it, creating opportunity. And ultimately, we are moving into a new tech world. So I think the question is technology doesn't need quite as many humans being around it. So it is generating new jobs. I think the data centers in Texas are now reporting they're going to be bringing 100,000 new jobs to the area. Yeah. Data centers will certainly bring in jobs everywhere. I think that the environmental impacts, we need to just watch carefully and understand how to be making sure that we are mediating any major energy impacts or things like that. There are now mandates that the different areas that are building data centers have to have their own energy sources. I think we're going to see a lot of data centers opening up in the South and in the Southwest. We're seeing a bunch here in Arizona opening up because they need the sun, so they can be using sun energy more for powering things versus having to use traditional energy. So my experience of the conversations, within the development industry of that is that they are taking these things into stride and consideration.
Well, I mean, it's happening globally. Look at this. I mean, development age, Germany just has alone, Frankfurt has 120 data centers in it already. Google is dropping $5.5 billion to expand across Germany, NVIDIA. UK has 500 data centers already, 22.7 billion invested by 2030. We got the Middle East, UAE pulling in 20 billion. We got Africa, ABI Research, South Africa, 500 milliwatt data center building there. Canada, 18.3 billion. China, during their thing, Latin America. I mean, this is global. This is infrastructure. This is not a fad. This is not a .com thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's part of the technological evolution. When we had, computers, we started building all sorts of centers around it there. It's just part of the evolution of what's going on with AI. So I think the most important question, I don't think that, large protests and resistance is necessarily the best way to go versus for us to take it as a narrative that we do need to be attentive and careful of things as we're doing them, just making sure we're ecosystemically evolving. There's a lot of evolution going on right now, and we are evolving at rates that are uncomfortable for typical human beings, especially conservative human beings that may not like change that much. And most humans don't like change that rapidly. It feels ungrounding, right? So naturally it's kind of triggering a lot of their security concerns and things like that, just their own safety, their own security by future, things like that. They don't have as long term. It's not going to just be like this for the next, the next 10, 20 years. Think about our parents who would get into a job and a career and they would imagine they were going to work there for 30 years, 40 years, work their way up the ladder and have certain rungs of the ladder that they could expect certain things to happen. And if it didn't, it was a big shocker to them. That's all gone. And so we are now in a state where we need to be evolving and understanding the evolution fast. And those that will understand that and actually be okay with the evolution fast will have the easiest ride. Those that don't are going to have a tough ride. But either way, it's happening and it's going to happen just like the computers, just like the Industrial Revolution. It's going to happen anyway. It's already ingrained. It's an infrastructure. It's now a fight between countries. It's a competitive race. So the question is, how do we do it responsibly, ethically, manage the energy, the governance, things like that?
Well, it's an indication of infrastructure because anytime, for example, when electricity came out, people literally thought it was going to kill them. They didn't want lightning in the walls. So this is actually an indicator. There's so much polarization against it. This is actually infrastructure. That means it's happening.
Cool. Okay, so sums up from today is for entrepreneurs, consultants to be putting attention on where the opportunities are as people are pouring into the world of entrepreneurship and needing help getting their systems set up as new entrepreneurs and founders. From the data center side, to be continuing to look at where things are coming into your area, neighborhood, country, or region, and be looking at how you can be supporting or in conversation about making sure it's done ethically, responsibly, and with attention, versus just hardcore resistance, which doesn't allow your voice to be heard around making sure things get resolved. So cool. All right. We'll leave it there for the current wrap up for the Infinite Mindset podcast. We'll see you guys next time where we drop deep into a conversation of what's going on currently in the world of AI and how it affects your current day and your future. We'll see you next time.